My father just wanted to withdraw money from my bank account, but the bank demanded he prove that I, his son, was biologically his child. The absurdity of the request left him stunned on the spot. While he stood there anxious and helpless, a group of robbers suddenly burst into the bank, seeing that my father was trying to pay for my surgery. They surprisingly felt sympathy and tossed him 2 bundles of cash. But since the bank refused to release the funds and my surgery couldn't wait, my desperate father took that money and rushed to the hospital. No one could have imagined that act would be judged as bank robbery. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The case exploded in the media. Reporters surrounded the courthouse asking if he had anything to say. My father, exhausted and pained, said if the bank hadn't made him prove his own son was his son, he would have withdrawn the money and never crossed paths with the robbers. His helpless figure was broadcast to millions through every major news outlet. When I woke up from the operation, I saw the headlines and learned my father was about to go to prison because of me. I was a first-year student at law school, and at that moment, I made a vow I would clear my father's name day. At night, I buried myself in legal texts. My sister tried to talk me out of it. She said he had already been sentenced twice to 20 years, and if the final appeal failed, my law career would be over before it began. But I told her, the law is fair. As long as the final appeal hadn't ended, I wouldn't give up. She worried about my health, told me not to push myself too hard, but then I found a clue. I told her I had a way. The next day, I went to the prison to visit my father. When he saw me alive and standing in front of him, he broke down and poured out all his pain. I comforted him and told him at the final hearing, as long as he told the truth, I was confident we would win. But just as I walked out of the prison, I suddenly felt dizzy. Still, I insisted I was fine. Then I asked my sister for the contact list of victims she had compiled and began calling every single one of them, invited them to the final hearing, telling them I wanted them to witness with their own eyes. The moment the bank lost the case, finally the day of the hearing arrived, I brought all my evidence to court, but to my shock, the bank's lawyer was my own brother-in-law. My sister exploded, accusing him of being heartless, but he said coldly in court, it's all about evidence. No matter who's on the other side, he would never show mercy. I turned and walked away, but reporters stopped me, asking how I could possibly win going up against the bank's so-called unbeatable legal team. I replied confidently, 100% chance of winning. The moment I said it, the bank director burst out laughing, mocking me, a mere college student daring to challenge his top lawyers. But I stood firm. If winning a lawsuit only took experience, then why do we need judges? The law does not favor the powerful. As long as the truth exists, justice will prevail. With that, my sister and I walked into the courthouse, but as I stepped through the doors, my body felt worse and worse. I handed all the evidence to my sister, told her not to let anyone touch it, then turned and said I needed to use the restroom, promising I'd be right back. But time passed, and I still hadn't returned. My sister sat alone at the defense table, waiting nervously. Meanwhile, I was suffering a severe post-op complication. I tried to grab my meds, but my body